I let you guys pick the topic, and we are talking about vetting a potential partner. So we're going to talk about what qualities really matter when you are evaluating a potential partner as to whether or not this is something that or somebody that you should be with long term, and if this can produce a healthy romantic relationship. So we are going to talk about things that should be on your list, your non-negotiables versus your things that you do compromise on. We're going to talk about questions you should ask before the first date, and then we're going to talk about how do you know if this person can give you the things that you need in a relationship. Welcome to the Perfect Partner Podcast, a show for those of you who have not given up on love despite its challenges, where we have those productive but sometimes difficult conversations about things that can really affect your relationship. I am your host, Erin F. Darton. I am an emotional intelligence and relationship coach, and I am on a journey. I feel like it's my purpose right now, actually, to help you understand the importance of emotional intelligence in building and maintaining healthy romantic relationships. I am flying solo tonight. My guest had a conflict, so we're going to reschedule her episode. But today, I let you guys pick the topic, and we are talking about vetting a potential partner. So we're going to talk about what qualities really matter when you are evaluating a potential partner as to whether or not this is something that or somebody that you should be with long term, and if this can produce a healthy romantic relationship. So we are going to talk about things that should be on your list, your non-negotiables versus your things that you do compromise on. We're going to talk about questions you should ask before the first date, and then we're going to talk about how do you know if this person can give you the things that you need in a relationship. I just can't believe the year is almost over. I am starting to get ready for next year. I am definitely going to have some type of class or workshop in the beginning of the year for you guys. Last year, I did a goal setting workshop, but I think I'm going to do something different this year. If you guys have any ideas of what type of workshop or activity or whatever challenge I should do, it's probably going to be something around self-awareness and learning yourself and identifying your goals for the year. Maybe not tangible goals, but self goals to improve your own self. It's probably going to be something along them. But I told my team that I was going to announce it by Friday. So I got to have it together by Friday. So come Friday, you guys will hear from me in terms of what the January challenge is going to be or what type of workshop I'm going to be running. So let me know if you guys have any ideas, because I definitely told them I'll have it together by Friday. And don't make me a liar, guys. Help me out. So me too. So Thanksgiving is definitely my favorite holiday. I'm not much for Christmas. I'm definitely a Grinch, but Thanksgiving is my favorite. This is the first year that I have not done Friendsgiving since being in my house. I'm a bit sad about that. But, we still going to have fun. I'm still going to have fun. I'm going to go and help my brother cook. So yeah, I'm still looking forward to it. So, okay. Continue to drop you guys ideas in the chat. Send me a message whenever, because by Friday I have to have everything for this workshop. And I appreciate you guys' input. It's for you guys. So I want to make sure I'm doing something that you guys actually want to hear that will help you. So enough of that stuff. Let's go into this topic. Let you guys pick the topic for today. And you guys want to talk about vetting a potential partner. I think it is fitting, especially now where it's time to start thinking about these matching pajamas. And you want to make sure that the person that you are considering matching with actually deserves to be in those pajamas and pictures with you. I think that this topic is actually it's important, and I think that after so many failed dates, there was a time where I had to go back and ask, like, is it me, or right? Am I asking for too much? People have called me too picky, right? And I had to really sit down and evaluate and think about, the things that I have been looking for in a partner, just to make sure that, right, it's not me. At some point, you got to evaluate yourself to make sure that you aren't the cause of, some of the problems. And sometimes it is you. And so when it comes to vetting a partner, I also ask on social media in the community, like, what qualities do you guys need or do you think are most important for having a healthy relationship? And you guys gave some really good feedback, like they have to be kind, or they have to be open and willing to grow. And all of those things are cool. But before we start throwing out and naming qualities and characteristics of somebody, of what you want in a partner, or things that you think will make your relationship healthy, I think that this is a conversation that is had quite often. But I think that this conversation needs to start in a place where I haven't seen many people start the conversation. And I think that if you are going to vet a potential partner, right? If you are going to think about this list of things that you are looking for in a partner, you got to start with you. And you have to make sure that you have a really good understanding of yourself and who you are before you can even think about adding somebody else to your life. And the reason that I say that is you are not going to know what you want and need in a partner unless you have a good idea of who you are. So when I am working with women, one of the first things that we do, right, is we talk about their list, right? I feel like everybody has a list. If you don't, you should. I've had people say, well, I don't have a list. But when I ask questions, you do have things in your mind that you are looking for in a partner, right? You may not have a tangible list written down somewhere, but everybody has a list of things that they are looking for. And so I think what is very important is to make sure that your list is really based on you, right? You want to make sure that your list is reasonable. You want to make sure that the things on your list mean actually what you think they mean, right? And you want to make sure that the things that are on your list really are going to dictate you having a healthy relationship. And so what I mean by that is I think that if you are planning to be with somebody forever, right? I think that's kind of the goal, at least for, a long-term healthy relationship. You got to think about where you are going in life. And so what I always tell people when they are looking at their list, or maybe trying to come up with another list, or reevaluating their list, I tell people, think about where you want your life to be in 5 years from now. If you wake up 5-10 years from now and everything is ideal, what does your life look like? What does your family look like? What does your house look like? What does your career look like? What does your day-to-day look like? Do you work? How many hours do you work? Do you travel? What does that look like? How often do you travel? What does your family look like? All of those things. If you wake up 5 years from now and everything is ideal, what does your life look like? And then once you know that, work backwards. What kind of partner do you need in your life in order to have this ideal lifestyle that you have? And so I think that's kind of the start of where to build your list. And it's not necessarily all about tangible things, right? Think about also your strengths, but also your weaknesses. Because I think that the perfect partner will also add value to your life, but you don't know what that value is going to be unless you have a good understanding of who you are. And so, based on this lifestyle that you want to live, what is it that you need from your partner, or what type of partner do you need in your life to reach that lifestyle? And that's where you start to build your list. Now, the other thing is that you want to make sure that the things on your list mean what you think they mean. Let me give you an example. There are a few things that usually come up right away with this. There are some women that have a height requirement. They won't date anybody that's shorter than 6'5", 6 feet, whatever. Statistically, it doesn't really work out for a lot of women. But when I go to ask more questions, well, why is it that you want your guy to be 6'5", 6'2", whatever it is? A lot of times the response I get is, you need your partner to make you feel safe. So what that means is, what should be on your list is that you want somebody to make you feel safe. Not that he has to be 6'5", because he could be 6'5" and you can still not feel safe. Or he could be 5'11" and you could feel very safe. And so you want to make sure that you are putting the things that are most important on your list, and you stay open and flexible to what that looks like. So you want to put safety and security on your list, not a height requirement, because the height requirement is limiting and it may exclude somebody that could very well meet your needs just because it doesn't look the way that you think. Now, if it's something like the height is a physical attraction for you, then that's something that goes on your list of preferences, something that you can compromise on, because it's the safety and security that's the non-negotiable and not the height requirement, right? The other thing that this comes up a lot about is in terms of education requirement, right? And that used to be me, right? I have a doctorate degree. And so I used to say, oh, I would only date somebody that has a professional degree. And then I started to talk, just meet different people out and about. And I've learned that just because somebody does not have an advanced degree, not even a college degree, that does not mean that they aren't intelligent and that they can't stimulate me mentally. And so as you are going through your list, I encourage you to go back through the list and the things that you are currently looking for in a partner, and make sure they mean what you think they mean, right? Ask yourself, of everything that's on your list, why is this on your list? And how would this affect your relationship long term? The answer to that why, that is the part that you need to put on your on your list. So for me, right, going back to the whole education requirement, the reason that I was looking for somebody with an advanced degree is because I want somebody that's intelligent. So now what I do is, instead of putting an advanced degree on my list includes somebody that is intelligent. It leaves me open to a lot more. I'm not limiting myself. I'm not, cutting off or closing myself off to a whole group of people that may very well meet all of my other needs just because it doesn't look the way that I thought it would look. Right? I was having this conversation, or I was in one of my Facebook groups, and somebody was saying that one of their requirements is that somebody that doesn't have a roommate. And so what is it about them having a roommate that you don't like? Like, how does that affect your relationship? Financial stability. So that could be a thing, right? They could have a roommate because they aren't financially stable. So then let me give you an example as to why the financial stability should be on the list instead of the no roommates. Because in one of my Facebook groups, a guy commented that he felt like a girl ghosted him once he told her that he has roommates. He said, but in the same time, I also told her that I own a house. I don't know if he had one, or he had at least one house. And him having a roommate was just because it was just him, and he makes more money renting his house out than living in it. Right. And so in that situation for him, had you met him and because he had a roommate, you wrote him off, assuming that it meant that he was financially unstable, you would have been wrong. Right. So you want to make sure that you are putting the things on your list that actually matter, and that you seek understanding and clarity before writing somebody off. Right. And so that's the first thing. So make sure the things that are on your list mean what you think they mean. The other thing about your list, you want to make sure that the things on your list are reasonable. So here's the thing, going back to this height requirement, the math just doesn't math. The amount of men that are over 6 feet and even over 6'2", it's a very small percentage. And for all of the women that want somebody that's 6'2" or 6'5", it's not enough. And so are you really being reasonable about having this height requirement. Another one, I don't know that we can have this conversation without talking about finances and money. I think that it is important that finances are on, it's something that you think about in your list. But when you say that whatever dollar amount is on your list, let's just say 6 figures, do you have 6 figures on your list because you actually need 6 figures to live your life? Like you need a partner that makes 6 figures to live your life? Or is this some type of arbitrary number that you just pulled out of the sky, or that you hear, or that you heard on social media that sounds good? Right? We got to be honest with ourselves. Why is it that you feel like you need somebody that makes 6 figures? Right? Again, I think finances are important, but I don't know that a dollar amount should be on the list. Instead, I think what you should look for is somebody that lives a complementary lifestyle to yours. And I think that is a way to kind of evaluate whether or not you guys are on the same page financially. Right? What type of restaurants do you go to on your own and with this person? What is it that, you plan on making in the future? Or what do you want him, like, just making sure that you are being reasonable with your request. I think that's a big thing with these lists that are out here, right? You want somebody that has X, Y, and Z, but I think you also have to be honest with yourself and ask, are you the type of person that your ideal person would be attracted to? And I know that's a hard truth, but I think that some of us have an overinflated sense of self when you need to be a little bit more reasonable with your list. Again, I'm not saying don't have standards, but I'm saying be reasonable. Don't just say he got to make 6 figures because it sounds good, and you don't even need 6 figures to live your life. Men, a lot of times I've had conversations with you and you guys don't have a list at all, or your list is strictly physical, of physical requirements or expectations or preferences. That's what I should say. Doesn't have a bearing on the health of your relationship. So you got to make sure, again, that you are digging deep and you understand who you are and where you're headed in life, so that you are picking a partner that can add value to your life. Right? And so when you have this list, again, think about where it is that you are heading in life and what type of partner you need in order to live that lifestyle, or where you're headed. How can your partner add value to your life? Right? Think about your shortcomings, your insecurities, and all of that. What is it that you need from your partner? What type of support do you need? Do you need moral support? Do you need emotional support? Do you need financial support? Right? Do you need somebody to be your cheerleader? Do you need somebody that's going to come in and be an organizer for you? Like, whatever it is, but you got to understand who you are and know yourself in order to do this. Right? And now once you have your list, I think the next thing that you need to do is to understand which things on your list are non-negotiables and which things you can compromise on, because everything on your list is not a non-negotiable. And so the way that I usually tell people to do it, write down everything that you want in a partner or in a relationship. Start there. Write it all down. Write down, what does your dream person look like? What do they have? Their characteristics. So how do they smell? How much money do they make? Literally everything that you would want in your ideal person, write it down. And then from there, what you do is go back and rate everything that you wrote down on a scale of 1 to 10. So on a scale of 1 to 10, everything that you wrote down, how important is this? 10 being the most important, 1 being not important at all. And so once you go through and you rate everything, those things that you have given a 9 or a 10, these are your things of non-negotiables. And so what I found is that usually the things that are your non-negotiables, it comes down to the type of relationship that you're open to. So in terms of marriage is a non-negotiable for you. Religion is often a non-negotiable. the type of support that you need, those types of things. But just know that if you aren't sure, I would ask yourself, how would this affect your relationship long term? And if it would not, then I think it needs to be a preference that you compromise on. If it would have a detrimental impact on your relationship, if somebody does not meet those things, then those things are non-negotiable. So I'll use me as an example. My non-negotiables: marriage is a non-negotiable for me. Him being a man of God is a non-negotiable. Being able to lead my household, having a vision for his own life, providing me emotional support, living a complementary lifestyle. I think that those are my non-negotiables. Just those, was it 4 or 5? That's it. Now, there are some things that go underneath there in terms of being able to lead my household. I got to be able to respect you, but that goes down to you having a vision for your life or living complementary lifestyles. Are you open to traveling and, that type of thing? But that's it. Those are my non-negotiables. Everything else is a preference. I like a man in a well-tailored suit, but that's a preference, not a non-negotiable, right? If he does not wear suits, it's not really going to have a detrimental impact on our relationship long term. All right. So you got to be aware of what are your non-negotiables and what are your preferences and the things that you compromise on. Right. Some other things that needs to be on your non-negotiables, right? You need to make sure that the person knows how to speak your love language. But again, that goes back to the very first thing, right? In order for somebody to speak your love language, you got to know what it is so that you can communicate that to them. And then once you have your list, how do you actually evaluate them, right? I think one mistake that people make is they are too lenient too early, right? And I think what that does is that requires you to not ignore things up front, right? I've had several conversations and people that have separated, broken up, divorced, whatever, sometimes or oftentimes in the conversations that I've had, the things that they break up over, they aren't new things. They are things that have been there for a long time. Things that they thought they could deal with, but after the baby or after some years, they realize that they can't, right? And so you want to make sure, you got to be honest with yourself up front as to whether or not these are things that you can and cannot deal with. And so don't be so forgiving up front. I'm not saying don't give them a fair shot. You should. But if you truly see something, you see a red flag, don't ignore it. Because then at that point, it's not okay to ignore a red flag and wait till you're in love and then say, oh, well, I'm in love now. Yeah, well, it's too late now. Like, you're screwed yourself, right? We're working on taking accountability for the part we play in our own heartbreak. And so you got to be honest with yourself up front about whether or not you have been ignoring red flags. And so that's why I always tell people that when you are evaluating somebody, look at the things that you do not like about them. Not the things that you like, the things that you don't like. And why am I telling you look at the things that you don't like? Because you have your list of non-negotiables. And you should not be entertaining anybody that does not hit your list of non-negotiables. And so ideally, if everybody has everything on your list of non-negotiables, everybody is kind of starting off on an even playing field in terms of the guys that or the women that you are dating or pursuing. So ideally, everybody is starting off at least from a baseline. Your non-negotiables is your baseline. And so what you want to do is make sure that you are evaluating people based on the things that you don't like about them. And so what you do is, based on the things that I don't like about this person, if nothing else changes, are you good with that for the rest of your life? And that's important because I think when you look at the things that you do like, I think that is when we are more likely to ignore the things that could be detrimental to our relationship long term. So when you get hung up on, oh, he's a provider, but then so that means you go and ignore his temper, or that he dismisses your feelings. When you look up 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years from now, he's always done these things. And that's the thing that's going to be detrimental to your relationship. Right? So you can't look at the things that you do like about somebody. They are important. That should be there. Absolutely. But I think when you are vetting somebody, right, the things that you do like, they are important as well. But I think if you focus on those, you are more likely to ignore the things that are going to be detrimental to your relationship. And so you should, look at the things that you don't like about somebody. And if nothing else changes, are you good with that for the rest of your life? One thing that I do, and I don't, this is just how I approach situations or trying to evaluate somebody. I try to figure out like what their areas of growth are, and I decide if that is something that I have the capacity to deal with. Right? Because you have to be honest with yourself, right? It's not just about them meeting your needs. You have to make sure that you are able to meet their needs. And so I try to answer that question as early on as possible. Like, okay, I see that this person needs this or that. Can I give that to them? Right? If I know somebody wants somebody that is going to be available all the time, it's probably not going to work for me. I have a busy schedule, running multiple businesses, taking care of my parents. So I know that that's not, you know what I mean? It's not going to be realistic for me to do. And I would never want to go into something knowing that I can't provide this person with what they need, right? A relationship is about both partners being satisfied and both partners' needs being met. And if I know upfront that I can't do that, I got to be honest with myself. And so questions that I think that you should ask before the first date. I think all of your non-negotiables, they need to be asked before you even go out with this person. So in terms of what type of relationship are you open to, right? I think that's a better way to ask instead of saying, what are you looking for? Because they don't know. They may not know enough about you to say what they want from you or what they're looking for from you. And so I think by asking what type of relationship are you open to is less direct and about you, and it'll let you know just kind of what they're open to generally. And so now the thing is, just because you both are looking for marriage, it doesn't necessarily mean that this is going to be your spouse, but it will let you know whether or not you are wasting your time with somebody that does not want anything remotely close to what you're looking for. So before the first date, you need to ask, what type of relationship are you open to? I think you also need to ask about family. Do they have children? Do they want more children? Do you want more children? Right? Something that I ask right away because I'm not sure if I do want children. Right? Whatever is on your list of non-negotiables, do you believe in God or whatever, if religion is a non-negotiable for you. Right? Those are the types of things that you need to ask. The things that you can ask yes or no up front before the first date, the things that you know would cancel somebody out immediately, you need to ask those questions before the first date. The amount of times I've heard of people waiting until after they are married and they find out that their person does not want children or doesn't want more children, that is wild to me. That need to be in one of the first questions that you ask. Do you have children? Do you want more? Because children is usually one of those things that people are not willing to change their mind about. And so you want to make sure that you are being proactive and getting the easy questions out the way, right? Don't wait till you fall in love with somebody and then find out they have like a deal breaker. Like, that's crazy. So all of your non-negotiables, you need to ask before you even go on a first date. Now, there are still going to be some things that you can't even ask, right? For me, emotional support is very important. I mean, I guess you could ask, like, hey, can you give me the emotional support that I need? But things like that are better if you pay attention to. And so what I would do is pay attention to whether or not that person asks me how my day is, or if they truly take interest in what's going on in my life. I will do whatever I can to create the opportunity for them to, provide that for me. right? That's the other thing, right? Once you know what you need, you also have to create the opportunity for that person to give you what you need, right? And that's another way to evaluate whether or not this person is, good for you. And when you are vetting a person, like I said, it's also about making sure that you can meet that person's needs. I think there are about 10 things that the perfect partner can do for you. And so I'm going to give you this list of 10 things I think the perfect partner can do. But it's also about you being the perfect partner, right? So it's not just about you looking for the perfect partner, it's also about you being the perfect partner. And so the perfect partner speaks their partner's love language, adds value to their partner's life, understands their happiness is their own responsibility. They share the same morals and values. They are aware of their areas of growth. They are emotionally intelligent. They are supportive. They desire the same type of relationship. They are flexible and they understand their partner's needs are going to change. And they are patient. I think that these are all of the things that will make you a perfect partner and also things to look for in your perfect partner. That is all I have for you today. If you let me know below whether or not you are going to go back to your list of things that you are looking for in a partner, or leave your list below. Let's see what you have. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Always, thanks so much for joining the conversation. Next week we're talking about ghosting, so you can always join the conversation live in the Perfect Partner Facebook community. And you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving. I'll see you guys next week.